Well, I'm here as part of the President's rural tour, where he's out around the country announcing $5 billion worth of funding to really shore up rural America, because rural America has been left behind. And as a fifth-generation Iowan who comes from farm family myself, I'm very familiar with that. And the President has said it's time we start making sure that rural America, that's so important to this entire country, actually starts getting ahead. And so whether it is the infrastructure that we're putting out there to fix derelict bridges across the country, connecting everybody to internet to make sure that that last mile, or in many cases that middle mile, is closed. Certainly to make sure that businesses right here like Barreras have opportunity to help local producers, local farmers, and local businesses get ahead. That's what this is about. In the end, the hope is that we once again get back to a place where we're supporting rural communities and making opportunity there so that people stay there. It's where they want to live, and kids have opportunity and can stay where their families are. It's a roll-up of a lot of pieces of legislation that we're pushing out there. Some of it comes from the Inflation Reduction Act. Some of it comes from recent legislation, but it's a multitude of different pieces. But all of them work together to create a whole new economy. We're tired of the big four meat packers getting all the money and taking it out of our rural communities. The natural resources are in our own backyards, and they can't continue to come in, reap the rewards from our own natural resources while folks in our backyard are losing their farms, which has been happening decade after decade. We've lost tens of thousands of farms across this country, and it continues to bleed. It's time we turn that around. And it's time we turn around opportunity for people in rural America. So this comes from many different parts. I would tell you, I have never seen an administration that has put this much effort towards rural. And that meant looking at pieces of policy, for instance, like connectivity with broadband, and saying each state at least gets this. Not requiring you to prove something for population, but saying we got to connect those folks. So I'm here to basically spread the word that it's time that we literally started paying attention to rural America, because it's the backbone of the economy in our entire country. And the President knows that, and the Vice President knows it, and we're out across America making sure folks get the money in their hands and put it right back into their communities, just like Muriel here. Absolutely. One of the most important things is to keep those generational farms going forward. Those folks have put their blood, sweat, and tears into the land for decades, and to not give them the support that's necessary to keep their families on the farm is irresponsible and wrong. Right now, unfortunately, 90% of our farmers need off-farm income. They can't make it just with farm income. And so we've got to switch that narrative around. We're creating new markets for our farmers through climate smart energy and allowing them to benefit off of lower energy consumption and producing energy and making money from that within a market itself. We're moving forward, to your point, on things like organic farming and other types of farming as well, supporting more diverse farming for women and folks out there, minorities who haven't had a chance to get into this because it's tough to get into farming. It takes money. So we know that it has to be diversified, because if we don't, we will fulfill that bad statement that the previous Secretary of Agriculture said, which was get big or get out. No way. We don't have to get big or get out in this country. That's not what we founded agriculture on. That's not what our agriculture is based on. And it's time we push back on that and make sure opportunities are local so that we can keep money in our communities and help our families be successful.
I love what you said with keeping it local and not having to grow super big. We have over 50 farmers in our store, all from Nebraska, Iowa, Kansas, and Missouri, who are specifically small farmers. A lot of them first-generation farmers, doing organic practices, thinking outside the box with aquaponics, and a lot of things that are not big scale and are not traditional, but trying to keep it small and local and unique and very healthy for our customers. And we appreciate all the initiatives to bring attention to that, to just help the small farmers grow. We do ship nationwide, so in the heat of the summer we kind of bring that in just because of the heat and the temperatures with FedEx, but yes, now that it's cooling off, we just mailed a package to Vermont, so. Well, what do you want to know? There's a lot. We have a pecan farmer here in Nebraska. We have lavender farmer out in western Nebraska. We have local beef and pork and chicken in the store, all done with organic, non-GMO practices. Everything is, and I go out to the farms if I'm not raising it myself, and the care of the animals is just impeccable. They are cared for from birth to plate in all aspects, and I take pride in every single farmer that is in our store, because I'm kind of the face with our customers, but I get to tell their stories as well, and so everybody kind of gets to meet all of them via me, and it's a great partnership. I really like food choice. I understand that there is a need for some of the larger scale, but what I really appreciate is the loyalty of our customers who value local, who understand the blood, sweat, and tears that go into raising a higher quality product, and our customers' loyalty and the relationship we build with them is really what sets small farmers apart. So we couldn't do it without our base of people.
Cost of land is going to go up by demand, and unfortunately, that's not something we're going to control in government, folks. Let me make that very clear. That's opportunity for the farmer. If they have a farm, that's great for them. But to your point, it can be cost prohibitive for folks to get in. That's why we're trying to find new opportunities. We're trying to find ways to, Barreras is a great example of that new opportunity. Those folks don't have to go get more land and make a bigger farm. What they needed was somebody like Muriel here to ensure that their products could get to market and ensure that there's local processing capabilities and opportunity to make that happen. So we don't have to go ensure that folks can afford the land, essentially. What we need to do is make sure that they can afford to be efficient in their own practices so that they can achieve a profit. And that's what most of this is about. Whether it's about our REAP grants, which are renewable energy grants, so that our farmers can, have a little plot of land, throw some solar on there, and literally produce their own energy, reducing their costs. We just have a couple of grants out right now where a couple of farms are literally going to produce 100% of their energy. So what that means is less cost on input. That means they can focus more on their product, and they can work more with people like Barreras and other organizations that can get their products out there across the market. So I wish that we could do things like make things more reasonable in cost for folks, but what we can do is ensure that the systems are working for local farmers across the country, and that's what we're trying to make happen.
To her point too, for example, the small farmers, we rely mostly on farmers markets, which are May through October. But the rest of the year, producers need to sell that product. And they don't need more property in order to do that. They just needed to utilize that full year calendar year. So by having this store, they can do that. They don't have to rely on the farmers markets. We are a year-round open indoor farmers market where they can continue to sell their product. They can do a value-added product, turning tomatoes that they have and they don't use into a salsa that they can sell all winter long. So it's not creating something completely new and expanding a big venture. It's using something that they already have, tweaking it slightly, and capitalizing on that opportunity. And I think that is a lot better than diving into getting more property.
And she hit the nail on the head. Just so you know. This is really about, the whole thing is just really about creating opportunity where you're at. It's all place-based. We've moved too far away from that. We've been moving our cattle around to across the country to the Big Four for far too long. It's time we keep them in our local communities. It's time that we ensure that the people understand the way that their food is raised, that it is helping protect us against the impact of climate change, because that's going to help our farmers with their soil quality and their opportunity for greater yields, and that means more profitability. So by keeping things local, we're creating a better product. As was mentioned, we can do what's called place-based economies, okay? So we're taking our natural resources, using them locally, and then creating value-added products out of that. That's the beauty of this. It doesn't have to just be, you know, if you are a vegetable farmer, it doesn't have to be you sell your tomatoes at this and then you're done. It's, okay, we got a market for you to go to now, make other products out of that,
Right.
from, you know, salsa to whatever. And so that's what's starting to happen now. And honestly, it's what Americans want. And by the way, we got the best products in the Midwest to begin with, so it's about time that we have more opportunity to get our food products out to the rest of America. And folks in other parts of the country are looking for food to be produced like this, to be produced in a sustainable manner, to ensure that we protect our environment, and that we also make sure that we quit bleeding rural America. It's a win-win for the entire country, for consumers, and for the folks on the ground that are getting the grant money to make this happen. Yeah, so President Biden and Vice President Harris are obviously in tune with the fact that we've got to start addressing the issues related to climate. It's costing our country a heck of a lot of money in dealing with disasters, and all around the world people are dying and we're being interrupted with supply chain issues. So it's time we start finding ways to limit that impact on our economy. And that means a lot of the pieces of legislation that are being pushed out there and that we're pushing out through this $5 billion helps us increase locally grown energy, helps us reduce the cost of energy for folks, helps us ensure that those some of the corporations that might be bad players in this industry have to buy from markets from farmers so that they can reduce their expenses. So we're at a sea change here, and I think it's phenomenal that we finally said we have an opportunity where we literally can put more money in people's pockets, but also make sure that for the long term our farmers remain sustainable, our economies remain sustainable, and they contribute to ensuring that our climate doesn't continue working against us. We know farmers are the best stewards of our environment. I come from 5 generations of farm families. We're closest to the soil, closest to the waters, closest to the hills in this country. There's no better people than our farmers to be stewards of our natural resources. And we want them to be that, not those large corporations coming in and taking out our natural resources from our small communities and benefiting from it. We want those folks who protect it and who know it to reap the benefits and keep that in their community.